When is Global's Part 2? And what could it possibly be bringing? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan battle video. In today's video, we are taking a look at the Path to Power campaign over here on Global Dokkan in the month of February. And we are trying to figure out when exactly Part 2 should be starting and what LR it could be bringing for us, if any. This is a really interesting time because on JP, they're celebrating the 8th year anniversary right about now, and are getting ready to go into their Part 2 with their Part 2 LR. So it makes sense that Global is going to try to step things up a bit to try to keep up with the hype, but obviously there's only so much they can do. And the question is, what is it that they're going to do? I think we can get a good idea by looking at the campaign and previous trends, right? If we take a look at the current campaign, we see that the Dokkan Fest for the Kid Goku here actually ends around the 15th to the 16th. This is Universal Time, Greenwich Mean Time, basically, and they have it ending around the 16th. I think on my time, this actually converts to about 8 p.m. On the 15th, so about halfway through, and in about 4 days from now. And this kind of lines up with when Part 2s had previously started. If we take a look at last year's Part 2 campaign for the month of February, right, it was the Dokkan Fest Androids campaign, and their campaign ran all throughout the month, with the banner actually ending a little bit later, but the Part 2 itself actually started around that time that this Dokkan Fest banner is ending, right, on the 14th. So their Part 2 was the AGL Gohan and Trunks, a double rates banner from the previous December. So that kind of makes sense that, you know, that's when we should see whatever our Part 2 LR is. Now the question is, what could it be? Because Kid Goku campaign didn't have a Part 2 LR on JP. I think they ran into the Dokkan Fest Gammas for their Part 2. So the question is, you know, what could it be? Well, if we follow last year's trend, we should see a very specific unit, right? Last year, they got the December LR for the month of February from JP, which was this AGL Gohan and Trunks, as I already mentioned, and it ended up being a double rates banner, which was really nice for us. Now, if we follow the same pattern, JP's December double rates banner was from the Dokkan Fest Yamcha campaign, the Part 2 for that, and it ended up being this STR Carnival Goku from the Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans movie. Now, the question is, will this be what we get? It's possible. It seems to be the most likely, but it really does beg the question, right? Because this was the Part 2 for the Yamcha campaign, and typically they don't, I mean, with a few exceptions, they don't typically separate Part 1s and Part 2s. There's some exceptions, like with Tanabata, that always happens just because of how it ends up landing with Heroes and Global, but, I mean, like, if they move this guy from the Yamcha campaign, then what does Yamcha have for Part 2? Nothing, unless they put him in front of Saiyan Day, which then now Bardock has the same problem. So eventually someone's going to have something different, because all three of these campaigns had a Part 2 on Global or on JP, but there's no way for them to have a Part 2 on Global. So I do actually think we won't be getting the STR Carnival Goku like I had initially thought, and here's why. We've already gotten the two major EZAs on Global for the Part 1, typically with an LR EZA reserved for Part 2, but we got that already. We got the LR EZA for the Int God Goku, and to me this really, really stands out. It's just so out of place with the rest of the campaign, right? It's not even related to Kid Goku, like, in the slightest. They're not even on the same teams, right? It doesn't make sense. It seems out of place. Unless you consider the following, right? That we could be seeing a global first for the Part 2 related possibly to this Goku. Either some kind of Realm of Gods support, or possibly, more specifically, the Battle of Gods movie. And I mean, we could be seeing something like that given this. And I feel like this is further backed up by the fact that the Dokkan Twitter actually announced that they've got a Dokkan Now coming up here real soon. And about a week ago, they did tweet this out. We talked about it when it came out over on Twitter, that there's a bingo sheet where you can kind of fill out this little questionnaire here. And if they answer questions correctly, we'll get certain rewards based on the rows. A lot of people did think this corresponded to Saiyan Day, and it possibly could, given that a lot of Dokkan Nows have related to joint celebrations, but it seems a little early for the Saiyan Day announcement. Last year, the last Dokkan Now we had was Volume 6, and this was for Saiyan Day last year, but they typically save... we don't want to go there. Let's go back. They typically save these Dokkan Nows for big announcements, and I don't think they would simply throw it out here for a Part 2 that was already on JP for this campaign. So it either is the Saiyan Day announcement, or it's something entirely different. And I feel like it's an announcement for the announcement of some kind of global first. It kind of has to be, right? There's no... It just doesn't make sense to me. And I feel like we're going to see the Goku a little bit later, especially when you also consider that the Hachiyak that released around the same time came with the 57th Virtual Dokkan Clash. So that's like a couple months away. We're only on the 52nd now. We've got like 5 more months until we get the Hachiyak, and I feel like they'll want to release the Carnival Goku around the same time, which would then line up with a possible Yamcha celebration after Saiyan Day, after all of that. So I don't know. Just Global's timing is really, really weird. But should they go the Realm of Gods route, the Battle of Gods route? I mean, there's a lot of options here to fill out the category. Like, most of the units from that movie are all outdated at this point. Beerus is next to useless unless you can somehow baby him up as he builds up his attack, right? The free-to-play God Goku into Super Saiyan God Goku's got almost no use. Beerus and Whis are due up for their Easy A. And then, I mean, we've got the World Tournament Beerus here, but that's pretty much it. The Tech Beerus already received his Easy A. He's pretty much done for. There's nothing else from the movie, really, that we could use. So having a new buff, having a global first buff, might be the best thing for characters from this Battle of Gods movie. And it'll be nice to give Global a little something to hang on to while JP is off celebrating their anniversary, right? Because everything's hyped for them over here, and meanwhile on Global, we're just kind of sitting here twiddling our thumbs, grinding out Kais, grinding out things from Clash, from the new story, and anything you needed from any of these story events, but there isn't really much else to do, so that kind of leaves us at a road. They got to do something big, and I think just simply releasing the Part 2 Carnival LR that didn't really have much in the second part of its campaign, they would have to go the global first route, right? I mean, at least I would hope something new, something different. There is one last theory I want to throw out here. It's a wild prediction, and I just want to throw it out there. I mentioned before that they typically save these Dokkan Nows for joint celebrations, right? This last one was for Saiyan Day, and I do still believe it's too early for the Saiyan Day announcement, so I think there is one other possibility, and it's a long shot, but JP currently had its Part 2 announcement for a double Carnival LRs with the Dragon Soul variants for their Part 2, right? Now, what if the Dokkan Now, as I said before, was for a joint celebration? They could be tying in Global to this Part 2, right? We'll get the 8th year anniversary LRs when it's time for that, But what if they're tying us into the part 2, right? They have mentioned before that they're willing to listen to our idea of merging JP and Global. What if this is it? What if this is a start, right? Because these two moments, they haven't specifically said that they are fully related to the Spirit Bomb, just that they are representation of Dragon's Soul and Hedchala of the opening theme. So it's possible they could tie us in somehow. It's a long shot. It's a hope. It's a dream. I doubt it, but I mean, I wanted to throw it out there as a possible crazy prediction. I like throwing those out there, and on the off chance some of them come true. But realistically, I do believe we may either be seeing a Global first or the STR Carnival Goku from the plan to eradicate the Saiyans. In fact, he seems to be the most likely, but I do think there are some indicators, as I said, that point in other directions, and I wanted to make sure I covered those. So, anyways, guys, that is the video. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let me know. What do you think is coming for part 2 here on the 14th or 15th? I kind of got my hopes up for something special. As much as I want the Carnival Goku, I kind of want to see something that gives Global a little hope while we're waiting it out for the 8-year anniversary. But I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, if nothing else, thanks for watching, and aloha.